Why does Daddy have two phones? My 6-year-old daughter asked. I laughed it off until I saw him frantically hiding one when I walked into the room. When I finally got my hands on it, I understood why he'd been working so many late nights. I'm Maya, 32 years old, female, and last Tuesday my daughter asked a question that split my life into before and after. Why does Daddy have two phones? Lily, 6 years old, female, said it like she was asking for a snack. Face sticky with yogurt, pajama pants on backward. I laughed. I actually laughed. The kind of thin laugh that sounds like glass tapping the edge of a sink. Silly bug, I told her. One's for work. I rinsed her bowl, and the mug I was holding slipped, hairline crack splintering down the handle like a lightning bolt. It didn't break then. Just a warning line I kept pretending wasn't there. Ethan, 35 years old, male, my husband, has always had a way of making me second-guess what I know. We met at a friend's barbecue in Cincinnati, long before Lily, long before the mortgage and the spider plant I keep nursing back from death. He pulled me onto the deck and told me I had storm eyes. I rolled mine. He laughed, like he didn't need me to be impressed. That's always been the problem with Ethan. He's irresistible and he knows it. He works late, a lot. Construction project manager, blueprints on the kitchen table, steel-toe boots by the door, sawdust dusting our entry rug like snow we never asked for. He texts foremen who call him boss, and sometimes his phone pings at midnight because the concrete pour got delayed. The second phone started sometime in April. He'd call it his work line, say the company wanted to separate personal from business. Okay, everyone separates things. Our budget, our laundry, our time. Lily drew a picture for Father's Day. 3 stick figures holding hands, me with curly hair, Ethan with a rectangle in his hand the color of gray crayon. That's Daddy's work, she explained. She glued glitter on the rectangle to make it special. I kept the drawing on the fridge and tried not to think about how glitter is the hardest thing to scrub from anything. Try to wash it away and you just smear it into new places. My best friend, Jenna, 33 years old, female, lives 2 doors down and has a talent for seeing the thing I'm trying not to see. You've got that look, she said, when I dropped Lily at her place for a playdate. The one you get when you've decided to narrate over the screaming in your head. I'm fine, I lied, smiling so hard my cheeks ached. He's just under pressure. That night I walked into our bedroom without knocking. I don't know why we had started knocking, and Ethan flinched like I'd thrown something. He jammed one phone, matte black, heavier than his regular one, under the pillow with a movement so fast it looked rehearsed. Then the show began. Hey, he said, casual, stretching his mouth into that easy grin. You scared me. You okay? I told him Lily had nightmares. He nodded like a good dad, wrapped an arm around my shoulders and smelled like a new cologne I didn't recognize. He called it cedar. I thought of splinters. Later when he showered, I pulled back the pillow. Nothing. He'd moved it. My heart thudded anyway, loud enough I could feel it in my gums. I checked the nightstand, the shoe rack, under his boots. Nothing. The spider plant on the dresser had crisp brown tips. I pinched them off, a pretend chore for a woman not pretending very well anymore. It wasn't the hiding that got me. It was his face when I walked in. Panic, then charm, like a flip of a switch. That switch is what changed everything. Because once you see the switch, you can't unsee it. You start looking for the wiring. You stop being the appliance. You start being the electrician. The night after Ethan shoved that matte black phone under his pillow, something inside me stopped pretending. I couldn't shake the image of his face, panic flickering, then charm, like flipping a light switch. Once you see the switch, you can't unsee it. You start noticing all the times they've flicked it before. The next morning, I brewed coffee but didn't drink it. My hands were too shaky. Ethan stumbled in, hair damp from the shower, smiling like he hadn't hidden a secret in our bed last night. Morning, Storm Eyes, he said, kissing my temple. His lips felt cold. Lily patted in, rubbing her eyes. Daddy, can I play on your shiny phone? The black one? The room froze. Ethan's laugh was too loud, too forced. That one's broken, Bug, remember? Only for Daddy's work stuff. He ruffled her hair, but his hand trembled. I pretended to rinse dishes, watching his reflection in the window. He was lying to her as easily as breathing. That day, Jenna came over with a casserole she claimed was just extra. She eyed me like she could smell the storm brewing under my skin. I cracked. I told her about the second phone, the hiding, the switch. She put the dish down with a thunk. Maya, that's not a work phone. No one hides their work phone from their wife. Her words hit harder than I expected. I tried to argue, but the excuses felt flimsy even leaving my mouth. That night, I waited. Ethan said he had to check on the site, so I kissed Lily goodnight, tucked her in with her stuffed rabbit, and sat in the dark living room with the hum of the fridge like a ticking bomb. Near midnight, the door creaked open. Ethan slipped in, smelling like beer and that cedar cologne. He didn't see me at first. He pulled the black phone from his jacket, fingers moving fast over the screen, eyes glazed in that way you get when you're somewhere else entirely. Somewhere intimate. I didn't breathe. I just watched. My chest felt like it was caving in. When he finally noticed me in the corner, he jolted so violently the phone slipped from his hands, clattering across the hardwood. His face went pale, then quickly rearranged into that practiced charm. Jesus, Maya, you scared me. Why are you sitting in the dark? I didn't answer. I just stood, crossed the room, and picked up the phone. His hand shot out, but I was faster. The weight of it in my palm felt like proof. Solid, undeniable. Maya, he said, voice cracking. Give it back. But I didn't. I pressed the side button. The screen lit up. And what I saw made my stomach lurch so violently, I thought I might throw up right there on the floor. I finally understood why Ethan had been working so many late nights. Don't forget to subscribe. The screen burned into my retinas. A flood of messages, some with pictures I can't unsee. Ethan, my husband, texting someone saved under B. No last name, just a single letter. The messages weren't work updates. They were midnight confessions, hotel room numbers, voice notes about how he couldn't stop thinking about her mouth. I scrolled with trembling hands. Pictures of her, selfies in lingerie, shots of them together in his truck, his hand cupping her thigh. My stomach flipped when I saw the timestamp. Tuesday, 8:14 p.m. The same night he told me he was stuck late because a crane delivery got delayed. I'd been giving Lily a bath while he was busy telling B he wanted to taste her. Ethan lunged for the phone. Stop, Maya, stop! His voice cracked into panic, and for a second I thought he'd rip it out of my hands. Instead, I saw it. The real him. His face twisted, desperate, not the charming project manager who everyone calls boss, but a man cornered. I shoved the phone against his chest, hard enough that it made a dull thud. Who the hell is she, Ethan? My voice came out ragged, more growl than words. He didn't answer. He just paced, hands pulling at his hair, muttering, You don't understand. It's complicated. She's nothing, Maya. Nothing. Nothing doesn't send naked pictures. Nothing doesn't call you my everything. I wanted to scream so loud the neighbors would hear. Instead, I walked to the fridge, ripped Lily's glitter-glued drawing down, and shoved it at him. Explain this to your daughter. Explain why Daddy has 2 phones. His jaw clenched. He crumpled the paper in his fist. The sound of that paper breaking was worse than the words I'd just read. That was Lily's love, crushed like garbage. Don't you dare! I tried to snatch it back, but he hurled it against the wall. It fluttered to the ground, glitter scattering like broken glass across the tile. Something snapped in me then. I wasn't scared anymore. I was furious. I stormed into the bedroom, ripping open drawers, closet doors, pulling at jackets until his second phone charger fell out from behind a stack of work boots. I held it up like evidence in a trial. You rehearsed this, Ethan. You built a whole damn double life while I was here raising our daughter and pinching off dead spider plant leaves. He tried to grab my wrists, his voice rising into a raw scream. Stop digging, Maya. You'll ruin everything. Everything? I spat back. Or just the fantasy where you're some faithful husband. The spider plant sat on the dresser between us, brown-tipped leaves trembling as if it felt the tension too. I wanted to hurl the pot at his head, watch it shatter, dirt spilling like the truth. But instead, I froze. Because in the doorway, clutching her rabbit, stood Lily, wide-eyed, silent. "Mommy," she whispered, "why is Daddy yelling?" My throat closed. Ethan's breathing slowed, and in a terrifyingly calm voice he said, "Go back to bed, Bug. Daddy and Mommy are just talking." But Lily didn't move. She stared at the glitter still sparkling on the kitchen tile. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't just my fight anymore. It was hers too. Lily's eyes were big and wet, her rabbit squished tight against her chest. That tiny voice, "Why is Daddy yelling?" cut sharper than any of the texts on that phone. I bent down, scooped her up, and kissed her hair. "It's okay, Bug. Mommy's here." Ethan stood there, fists balled, trying to look calm but twitching like a live wire. He muttered, "Maya, don't do this in front of her." Like I was the problem. Like I had shattered the drawing and hidden a phone under a pillow. I carried Lily into her room, tucked her under the blanket, promised I'd sit in the hallway so she could sleep. Her eyes stayed on me, searching for safety, until her breathing finally evened out. Then I stood, closed her door gently, and turned back to the storm. Ethan was in the kitchen, sweeping glitter into his palm like he could erase it. "You don't get it," he said, voice low, strained. "You and I, we're stuck. Bills, routines, stress. She makes me feel alive." The words were acid. Alive. As if Lily's laugh wasn't enough. As if me patching our spider plant, paying bills, making his damn casserole dinners wasn't life. I laughed, bitter. "So your solution is 2 phones and late-night motel texts?" His face twisted. "I didn't mean for it to happen, it just did." He slammed the broom against the counter so hard a chunk of wood splintered off. "You don't understand what it's like to feel invisible in your own home." Invisible? I wanted to rip the walls down around us. "I gave you everything. You think I don't feel invisible?" "Ethan, I've been living in your shadow for years while you play hero at job sites. At least I didn't crawl into someone else's bed to feel seen." He lunged toward me, not quite touching, but close enough I could smell that cedar cologne clinging to him like guilt. His eyes were wild, unstable. "Don't you dare tell Jenna. Don't you dare make me look like the villain." There it was, the switch again. Charm when it suited him, menace when it didn't. I shoved past him, grabbed my phone, and dialed Jenna. She answered on the second ring. I didn't even say hello. Just whispered, "You were right. It's worse than I thought." She didn't ask for proof. She just said, "I'm coming over." By the time Jenna arrived, Ethan had stormed into the garage, slamming things loud enough to rattle the walls. She walked in, eyes scanning the glitter on the tile, the broken broom, my face. She hugged me so tight I almost broke down right there. "You're not crazy," she said into my hair. "You're not crazy and you're not alone." I finally exhaled. For the first time in hours, my chest didn't feel like it was collapsing. But then came the sound. A crash. Something heavy in the garage shattering. Ethan's voice, raw, screaming into the dark. The kind of scream that doesn't care who hears it. Lily's door creaked open. She peeked down the hall, eyes wide again. And I knew. Whatever this was, it was only beginning. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Wow, I wasn't expecting so many of you to care. I posted this 2 nights ago, shaking so bad I could barely hit submit. And now I'm sitting here with 600 unread DMs and enough advice to fill a damn library. Some of you told me to grab Lily and run. Some of you said to torch his clothes in the front yard, tempting. And one person seriously suggested I replace his cedar cologne with bleach. Dark, but hilarious. So here's where I'm at. After I wrote my last post, Ethan's meltdown in the garage escalated. He smashed something, I still don't know what, but the sound was sharp, like glass exploding. Jenna was with me, thank God. She pulled me into the living room and whispered, "If he comes in here like that, we're calling the cops." Just hearing her say it made me realize how far this had gone. When he finally stormed back inside, his shirt was streaked with grease, his face blotchy, his breathing shallow. And he had this wild look, like a cornered animal. He kept repeating, "You're not going to take her from me. You won't make me the bad guy. That's when I realized he's already writing the script. He's already painting himself as the victim. Jenna didn't back down. She told him flat out, "You need to leave, right now. You're scaring your daughter." And you know what he did? He laughed. This ugly, hollow laugh. "You don't get to tell me to leave my house." It was Lily's small voice from down the hall that finally broke him. "Daddy?" she called, trembling. And just like that, his whole act cracked. He wiped his face, muttered something about needing air, grabbed his keys and drove off like a maniac. We didn't sleep that night. Jenna stayed over, slept on the couch, kept one ear open in case he came back banging on the door. The next morning, I found the black phone shoved under the couch cushion. Maybe he dropped it in the chaos, maybe he left it on purpose, I don't know. But I turned it on. And this time, I didn't just scroll, I read. It's worse than I thought. It's not just B. There are multiple names. Different women. Some messages go back over a year. And one, this one makes my stomach flip, wasn't just messages. There were videos. Taken in hotels I recognize from his overnight work trips. I haven't confronted him yet. He hasn't come home. He texted me from his regular phone saying, "Don't twist things. We'll talk when you calm down." Like I'm the hysterical one. But I've been calm enough to do one thing. I backed up every single message, every photo, every video from that phone to my laptop and a cloud account Ethan doesn't know exists. If he wants to play the victim, fine. I've got the receipts. And for the first time in days, I feel a flicker of control again. I didn't hear Ethan come back that night. His boots weren't by the door in the morning, and the garage reeked of beer and motor oil when I peeked in. Something metal had been smashed. His old toolbox lay bent open, wrenches scattered like shrapnel. He texted at 7 a.m. "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." Like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't held his second life in my hands, glitter still in the grout lines of our kitchen floor. I stared at the message until my vision blurred. Then I called Jenna. She didn't waste time. "We're not waiting for him to write the narrative, Maya. You need to write it first." Her plan was simple, brutal in its elegance. Expose him on his own turf. No screaming match in our living room, no he said, she said. Cold, clean evidence delivered where his carefully curated reputation couldn't protect him. Because here's the thing about Ethan. He's not just a cheater. He's a project manager. People see him as reliable, the guy who keeps sites running, who negotiates calmly with foremen and keeps crews from walking off the job. His good guy act isn't just for me and Lily, it's his career. That afternoon, while Lily napped, Jenna and I spread the evidence across my laptop screen. Messages, photos, hotel receipts, all tagged and time-stamped. She scrolled through them with a grimace. "This isn't a fling, Maya. This is a system. He's running side projects like they're subcontractors." It was disgusting, but it was also leverage. We drafted an email, not to him, not yet, to his boss. Screenshots blurred for privacy, but clear enough to show Ethan using late pours as cover for Motel Rendezvous. Attachments of time-stamped texts overlapping with supposed site emergencies. Proof of lies that cost overtime and trust. I hovered over send for a long time. My fingers shook. Because once it was out there, I couldn't take it back. Then I thought of Lily's drawing crumpled on the floor. I thought of her whispering, "Why is Daddy yelling?" I hit send. That night, I cooked pasta Lily barely touched, tucked her in with her rabbit, and sat in the dark again. At 9:42 p.m., the garage door rattled open. Ethan stumbled in, cedar cologne failing to mask stale beer. He looked at me like he expected tears. Instead, I just said, "How was work?" Something flickered in his eyes. Suspicion, maybe. He grabbed a beer, sat at the table, and started rambling about stress on the job. I watched him, quiet, thinking about that email waiting in his boss's inbox. Because this wasn't about screaming anymore. This was about letting Ethan build his castle on sand, and then watching the tide come in. Ethan found out faster than I thought. The next morning, he stormed into the kitchen in his work jacket, boots unlaced, face blotchy with rage. He slammed his phone down on the counter so hard Lily's cereal bowl rattled. "What the hell did you do, Maya?" I kept my voice steady. "What do you mean?" "You know damn well what I mean." He jabbed a finger at his phone. "Carlos called me into the office." "The office, Maya. Do you know how humiliating that was? My boss, my crew, they've all seen your little crusade. You've ruined me." The word ruined tasted sweet in the air. But I didn't flinch. "No, Ethan, you ruined yourself." He laughed, a horrible, cracked sound, and swept the cereal bowl off the table. Milk and Cheerios splattered across the floor. Lily gasped, clutching her rabbit. I pulled her into my lap before Ethan's shadow could scare her any more than it already had. "You're poisoning her against me," he snarled, pacing. His eyes were wild, his hands twitching like he didn't know whether to punch a wall or grab me. "First Jenna, now my job. You're dragging outsiders into this? Do you want me to look like a monster?" I couldn't help it. I barked out a laugh. "You don't need my help with that, Ethan." Something in him snapped. He yanked the spider plant off the dresser and hurled it against the wall. Dirt sprayed everywhere, clinging to the milk on the tile, leaves torn and broken. "This is what you want?" he shouted. "To destroy our family? To make me the villain so you can play the victim?" Jenna walked in at that exact moment. She'd used her spare key. Thank God. She froze at the sight. Lily crying into my shoulder, glitter still twinkling in the kitchen grout, soil smeared across the floor. And Ethan, standing there, chest heaving, surrounded by wreckage of his own making. Her voice was like steel. "You need to leave. Now." But Ethan didn't move. He just smirked, eyes darting between us. "You think you're safe because you've got her here? You think anyone's going to believe your little sob story when I tell them you're unstable, Maya? That you're hysterical and dragging our kid into it?" The words landed heavy. That was his new script. Make me the crazy one. I stood, still holding Lily, and whispered to Jenna, "Get your phone." She didn't ask why. She hit record and held it low by her side. Because if Ethan wanted a war of narratives, fine. I'd give him the uncut footage of his own unraveling. He didn't know it yet, but the more he thrashed, the tighter the noose got. Update 2. I can't believe how many of you told me to record everything. Seriously, half the top comments on my last post were like, "Maya, document, protect yourself, save evidence." I thought I was ahead of the game with screenshots, but after what just happened, yeah, you were all right. Ethan exploded this morning, like full-on unhinged. He trashed the kitchen, smashed Lily's cereal, threw the spider plant at the wall like it had personally betrayed him. And then he tried to flip the script, accusing me of poisoning our daughter against him, calling me hysterical, saying nobody would believe me. But here's the part that makes me want to kiss every single one of you strangers. Jenna had her phone recording, the whole meltdown. His screaming, the crash of the bowl, the sound of Lily crying. All of it. I haven't even watched the full video yet. I couldn't stomach it. But just knowing it's there makes me feel like I'm not crazy, because that's what he's been doing for years, right? Gaslighting me into thinking I'm dramatic, that I imagine things. Now I have raw proof of who he really is when the switch flips. Some of you joked in the comments last time about putting glitter in his truck vents or replacing his cologne with vinegar. And honestly, petty revenge would feel amazing. But watching him unravel like that, I don't think I need to lift a finger. He's self-destructing in real time. That said, I'm not sitting back either. Jenna and I already backed up the video to the same cloud drive as the phone data. She's talking to a lawyer friend about next steps, because Ethan is way too unstable to be around Lily unsupervised. The scary part? After he stormed out this morning, he sent me a text that just said, "You'll regret this. No explanation, no apology, just that." A lot of you warned me he'd escalate when cornered, and you weren't wrong. I'm locking doors, keeping Jenna here as much as I can, and documenting every single thing. I don't feel safe, but I also don't feel powerless anymore. And here's the twist I haven't told him yet. Tomorrow is the company's monthly safety meeting. Every foreman, every supervisor, his boss Carlos, all in one room. Guess who's about to get an anonymous package of screenshots and a nice little USB drive with video evidence? If Ethan wants to play the victim, he's going to have an audience when the mask slips. The next morning, my stomach churned so hard I couldn't finish my coffee. The evidence packet, screenshots, videos, a USB drive, was already delivered. Jenna had driven it across town and dropped it in Carlos's mailbox before sunrise. By 9 a.m., Ethan's entire professional world would be cracking open. I tried to act normal for Lily's sake, but she saw through me. "Mommy," she whispered as I braided her hair for school. "Are you sad?" Her little fingers picked at the ears of her rabbit. I kissed the crown of her head. "I'm not sad, Bug. I'm just strong today." It was half a lie, but it felt good saying it out loud. By noon, my phone started buzzing. Not from Ethan, he'd gone silent, but from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I listened. It was one of his coworkers. "Girl, I don't know what's going down, but your husband just walked out of the safety meeting like a bomb went off. Carlos was waving papers, yelling about lies and misconduct. Half the crew saw. Whatever's happening, it's big." My chest burned. It was working. The tide was finally pulling his castle down. But that's when the storm came home. At 3:15, just as I was helping Lily with her shoes for ballet, tires screeched in the driveway. Ethan's truck. He didn't even slam the door. He kicked it open. The sound of his boots hitting the porch made my heart race. Jenna was with me, thank God. She grabbed her phone, whispered, "I've got this," and moved toward the door. Ethan barreled in before she could even lock it. His face was red, veins bulging in his neck, eyes wild like he hadn't slept. "What did you do?" he roared. His voice shook the windows. Lily screamed and clung to my leg. "Ethan, stop!" Jenna stepped between us, phone raised, recording again. He slapped the phone out of her hand so hard it skittered across the floor. "You think you can ruin me? My job? My name?" Spit flew as he shouted. He grabbed the back of a chair and hurled it against the wall. The wood cracked like a gunshot. I pulled Lily behind me, my hands shaking but my voice steady. "You did this to yourself, and everyone knows it now." For a split second, I thought he might hit me. His fists clenched, his chest heaved, and his whole body leaned forward like a predator about to strike. But then his eyes darted toward the corner, where Jenna's phone light still blinked red from the floor. Recording. Evidence. Again. He froze. Then he smiled. That terrifying switch flip smile. "You think you've won?" he whispered. "You don't know what I'm capable of." And just like that, he spun on his heel and stormed back to the truck, peeling out of the driveway so fast gravel sprayed across the lawn. Lily sobbed into my shoulder. Jenna retrieved her phone, checking the recording. She nodded. We got it all. But my hands wouldn't stop trembling. Because Ethan wasn't just unraveling anymore. He was planning something. And I knew the next time he came back, it wouldn't just be words or broken chairs. I didn't have to wait long for Ethan's next move. 3 nights later, the community center hosted Lily's spring recital. She'd been practicing her little ballet routine for weeks, pirouettes in the living room, bowing to her stuffed animals. She begged me not to miss it, even with all the chaos swirling around us. So Jenna and I took her. I dressed her in her pink leotard, tied the ribbons on her slippers, kissed her forehead. For a moment, just a moment, it felt like life might still hold something sweet. The auditorium filled with parents, the smell of popcorn and floor polish in the air. I kept scanning the doors, praying Ethan wouldn't show. But of course he did. Halfway through the performance, he slipped in through the back, wearing that cedar cologne, hair slicked like he was still respectable. His eyes locked on me across the rows, a twisted grin spreading across his face. He waited until Lily's group finished and the applause started. Then he moved, striding down the aisle, loud enough to make people turn their heads. He didn't clap. He didn't smile at his daughter. He just marched straight to me. "Maya," he said, voice low but sharp enough to cut through the chatter. "We're going to talk. Now." The room stilled. Parents, kids, teachers, they all watched. My pulse pounded. But instead of shrinking, I stood. Jenna slipped her phone into my hand, whispering, "Do it." I pulled up the file. The meltdown in our kitchen. Ethan screaming, smashing Lily's cereal, throwing the spider plant, his voice crystal clear. You won't make me the villain. I hit play. The sound filled the auditorium, echoing off the walls. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A teacher clutched her chest. Parents shielded their kids' ears. And Ethan's face. God, I'll never forget it. His confident mask crumbled in real time. Turn that off, he shouted, lunging for my phone. But two dads from Lily's class stepped between us, blocking him. One of them barked, Not here, man. Not in front of the kids. I looked at Ethan dead in the eyes. This is who you are, and now everyone knows it. Security came. Someone must have called. They escorted him out, his protests ringing hollow in the air. She's lying. She set me up. I'm the victim. But nobody believed him anymore. Not with that recording burned into their ears. Afterward, Lily ran into my arms, her tutu crinkling, eyes wet but shining. You stayed, Mommy, she whispered. You stayed. I held her tight. Jenna pressed a hand to my back, steady and warm. For the first time in months, the weight lifted. Ethan had wanted control. He'd wanted to write the script, flip the switch, make me invisible. But in the end, he destroyed himself, publicly, unmistakably, permanently. And me? I wasn't invisible anymore. I was the mother who stayed, the woman who fought back. The storm had passed, and I was still standing.